Welcome to Uniquely Brilliant, a podcast for creative, quirky, and extraordinary thinkers of all ages and the people who love them. We encourage, inspire, and provide strategies to motivate you to embrace your unique brilliance and realize your potential for success. Hi, I'm Diana Bader, also known as Coach Di. I encourage teens and young adults to become who they are and develop personal success through self-awareness and positivity. You can find me at freshcanvascoaching.com, follow and like the Fresh Canvas Facebook page, or follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Di.
Hello there, I'm Becky Berry. I am a performance coach who helps people level up their lives by smoothing out the relationship between their work lives and their personal lives. You can find my website at beckyberrycoach.com. I'm on Twitter at Becky Berry Coach, and you can find me on my Facebook page, Becky Berry Coach.
Together we are here sharing our thoughts, insights, and experiences from our own uniquely brilliant perspective. Alrighty, it's episode 93, and today we're going to talk about stuff that nobody told me.
Great topic. Hello, 93.
Yeah.
We're getting really close to 100. That's just freaky.
7 down.
Oh my gosh. So stuff no one told us.
Yep. You're looking at me like you want me to go first.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Well, one of the things that came to mind when I was thinking about this is nobody told me that I could reject a job that didn't feel like a right fit. Because when I was young and starting out, and if somebody wanted me for a job, I was like, oh yeah, they want me for this job. And I went on one interview one time, and they were going to give me the hours I wanted, the pay I wanted. It was basically the kind of work that I wanted to do. And I left, and I went home, and I burst into tears.
Oh, what happened? What was it?
I don't know. I mean, I there was just something about the place. There was something that my subconscious was picking up on that I wasn't. And it was like this total, back and forth in my head over, but this has got everything you want. But there was something that just wasn't right. And I still don't think I can put a finger on what it was. But it was this struggle for several days before I could call him back up and say, you know what? Yeah, I don't want it.
No, thank you. So what did your parents say? Were you at home?
Oh, no.
Oh, this was after?
This was after college and when I was on my own. But, no, but it was just really weird because, first of all, I didn't know that I could do that. That was part of the struggle too, is like, yeah, but they want you, they're accepting you, they're offering you what you want. It's the kind of work you want to do.
It's that same, bird in the hand's worth two in the bush or something. That's just such wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah.
If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Well, I also...
And taking it just to have a job doesn't turn it all right all of a sudden.
Well, you growing up, there's that thing that you get into a job, you need to be doing this, there's all this like should stuff happening. And to wade through that and to sort of rebel against that and say no, and because I was going to have to start like my job search like all over again.
Right.
And reassess everything. I'm like, which I hated. I hated doing job searches. I didn't mind going on interviews, but just that whole initial process getting into it.
I totally know, right?
But
that's why I have a job.
Exactly. That's why I became an entrepreneur. But that was a really hard thing for me to see, and I see that with a lot of people now too. It's like,
I do too. I'm just going to take this job because they offered it to me. It's too scary to think there might be something else out there. What if there's not? All that black and white thinking. Instead of going, wait a minute, this isn't a fit. And listen, if it's not a fit when it starts, and it's not a fit, it's never going to be a fit.
Yeah, it's like I bought a pair of shoes like that. I really liked the shoes. They were really cute, but they never fit right.
Guilty. How many times have we done that, right?
I remember, going to a party and wearing them and hating the party all night long because my feet hurt.
Right.
And I swore from that point on I was never going to buy shoes just based on how they looked. I wanted comfort.
No comment. I don't think I've evolved to that point yet. I like that. You don't have to take the job. Well, the one I thought of is Not everyone's going to get you, and that's okay.
Yes, that is for sure.
Because I've talked before on this podcast how it took me till I was 56 years old to know that I was okay, because I'm just not like other women of my age. I'm just not. Mm-hmm. I'm much more like guys my age, and in general. So it was, I'm a woman. I'm from the South. My dad was a Marine. I just grew up with a certain set of expectations, and that was that, you acted a certain way, check, half check. I tried. I mean, I did what I had to do, at school, but, there were rebellious moments which were squelched firmly. And then there was looking a certain way. And, of course, I was smart, right? And it was just always, really hard to understand that. Why don't you understand that I'm smart and fun? That I'm smart and not intimidating. I mean, you're sitting there in class with me.
Yeah.
I mean, so what if I say, insightful things? You've seen me in other settings. So it's okay. And now, as an adult, as a coach, there are people who don't get me. It's okay. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, then that's not a fit.
Yeah.
Now I can tell in a phone call, and I'll just refer people to somebody else. But I don't feel like I have to just take any client because that client is there.
And that's a huge awakening as an entrepreneur and as a coach.
Yeah.
That you can't coach everybody. They're
Right.
not all going to resonate with you.
Yeah.
And that's a giant
and I'm not going to
shift.
resonate with them, which
Yes.
is, just fine with me. So, yeah, I think that's really big. And when I wrote that, what did I do that? Those steps to a job satisfaction. One of my pieces is, what is it that people don't understand about you? And I think one of the things that people don't always understand about me is I ratchet it up and down depending on what somebody needs. I'm the woman. I mean, you would never believe this. I have sat in hospital rooms for 8 and 10 hours at a time, just sitting there. Mm-hmm. Of course, I was reading, but I will sit there, and people are like, "I can't even picture you doing that." I'm like, "Well, okay, then you just really don't get me."
If I have to, yeah.
I just do what I feel like I need to do. Mm-hmm. Nobody said I had to do that, but I did. I mean,
yeah.
My thought was, what else was I going to do? He's dying. Mm-hmm. I'm not just going to walk out the door. I'm going to sit there, and I still do that. I'm the person who will sit in a waiting room for hours.
Yes, I'm very well aware.
Oh, right. I forgot. I've done that with you. But most people looking at me would never think that's what I do.
Yeah.
When you just see me on the outside. So, it's okay. It's okay if people don't always get me.
Oh, I agree.
As long as what I'm doing is authentically me. Mm-hmm. As long as I'm not trying to be somebody else.
Yeah, I like that. I
didn't know. 56, I'm just saying. Holy smokes.
Well...
You have a lot of experience with that.
Oh, yeah, I have tons of experience with that.
Like the thing you talked about dressing in college, where you dressed like people dressed in the 21st century. In the 20th. Right?
Oh, yeah. I did what I want. I mean, yeah, I've always had a little bit of a rebel streak. Although...
did you mind?
No, but it didn't bother me like it bothered you, because people, I mean, I can even go back to poetry that I wrote and things like that, that people just sort of wrote it off as me. But I grew up in a very accepting environment, and
you grew up surrounded by entrepreneurs. Just saying.
I did.
That's a whole different.
Yeah, it is.
Thing.
And I grew up in a very accepting environment that all right, she's gonna go do that. And I was very creative and everything else, and I was allowed to be.
Well, and I accepted the limits. I didn't understand.
I mean, there were certain limits that I stuck to that I didn't really want to, for sure. But there was certain places in my world that I could drop them.
That's great.
So
that's super.
And that's what I did. It wasn't actually until I got older that I got squelched. So, and then
I know that's even worse.
Yeah,
I'd rather do. Yeah,
because I didn't realize it was happening. It was like one of those little slow things that all of a sudden you're like, where am I?
What just happened here?
It's like falling asleep in the car and waking up in another state or something.
Right.
Exactly. So another thing that's nobody ever told me was that I didn't have to be part of one group.
Oh.
Or one thing. I started
like
I
it's
never
not
really
either or.
Yeah.
It's not binary.
Yeah. I mean, this is where people thought I was weird, is because my third grade teacher actually talked about how cliquey my school was.
Yeah.
But I never belonged to any one clique.
I mean, yeah, that's one of those things you and I have in common.
Yeah. I mean, and this has been a thing for a long time. It's not that I didn't value the people in one clique or, build some tight relationships within there, but people just interested the heck out of me. And I loved being around different types of people. Being around just one group all the time bored me, and still does.
Right.
And so I need to have my entrepreneurial friends and that have really big, big dreamy thoughts. And I need to have friends that I go really deep with. And I need to have, all this stuff. For a really long time, I felt like there was something wrong with me because I didn't have this one tight group of friends that I was friends with from kindergarten till now. And, but I just had bigger feelings and bigger thoughts about people. I just found everybody fascinating.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know everybody's stories. And
yeah, I like that. Well, mine was like that too. And, I lived it out into my adulthood because, I did everything I was supposed to do. Because if I didn't, the price was pretty high. But I hung out with the hoods and they loved me. Married one, so I guess I did okay. Not somebody from high school, but my husband was definitely, skipped school all the time, all those things, back in the 50s when he was a teenager. So yeah, I totally get that, and it's really nice. Of course, I have that added advantage of I'm still part of a group I was in when I was a little kid, but it's spiraled. Okay, it's a spiraling where we come back, right? My two of my best friends have spiraled back into my life over the last, 3 to 5 years. One of them seems to be spiraling out, so I've got to go grab her and bring her back. And the other one, he's just always going to come back. And it's really, it's a really cool thing to have that continuity. But then I have all my other groups, I have my book club. I have my entrepreneur group. I have my family, which is pretty daggum big, and then I have those little, there are these tangential groups, like on Mondays when I go eat with Mom and two of her friends at the local diner and stuff, so there's that little tangential group, and it's so rich.
Yes.
The thing, here's what you and I knew at a very young age, that it was rich.
Yes.
And that everything else was kind of bland, because if everybody's the same, it's kind of bland. And so, we've lived it out to get to where we are now.
Well, one of the things from the power of Facebook, I can stay in touch with some of the people that I grew up with because
I love that. I've got 3 grandkids this week. 3 friends with grandkids this week. Do you know how awesome it is to see those baby pictures in Facebook?
Well, see, and sometimes Facebook is exhausting to me, but there are certain people that I've met at a conference that the only way that I keep in touch with them is through Facebook or and it's really funny. One of my neighbors, I kind of consider, if I had any close group growing up, although I still don't talk to them on a regular basis, it would have been my neighborhood because I know, like you were talking about the spiral, I know I can go back there. Actually, I know I could send friends back there and they would be accepted or helped or whatever needed to be.
Well, you're sending your kid back there. So
yeah. And he wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's only been up there, periodically and hasn't seen these people all the time. But there was that feeling of familiarity and, that he was comfortable with, which he needed.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was really funny is my old house went on the market a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
And so one of my old neighbors who doesn't live in the neighborhood anymore, but she still lives in town, she put the listing on Facebook and said, "Okay, Di, it's time to move back."
You're like, "Whoops, that's too far north."
Well, actually, my brother and I were joking because his daughter wants to go up there too, and we're like, "Hey, maybe we could do that." And then when we go visit the kids, we got a place to stay.
Yeah, there you go. Like people who buy a condo in their college town, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, that would work. You got all of them right there. You got Ohio State. You got everything you want right there. That's a great idea. So I like this, being part of a group. All right, so my next one is that not everybody's an extrovert. Which I know.
Yeah.
I mean, empirically, you can see it. But what I didn't know was what I couldn't identify, was how much introverts bring to the table and to my life. Hello, sitting next to one right here. And that I had a really good facility for drawing them out. That it has to do with those groups we just talked about. Since neither one of us has ever limited us to one kind of person to be around, it becomes easier to identify how to draw somebody out in a conversation.
Yeah.
How to have somebody be heard in a meeting. How to have, for me, like when I was teaching, how to make sure when we were doing projects that each kid had a piece where they could shine. Because I wasn't really interested in building up necessarily the skills we were teaching, writing or whatever, a little bit. But for my introvert kids, for my kids who couldn't speak up or were always talked over, I wanted them to have a place where they felt pretty comfortable, but that helped them know that they could speak, they could be heard. So, that got to be really strategic, because then I took that power person in the group, the Becky in the group, and I was like, okay, I'm counting on you to do this. When I walk by that group, I want to, at least one time I go by that group, I want you to hear you asking that kid a question and then listening to the answer. And I teach them how to do this, because I teach them my trick. I'm like, put your hand over your mouth. They're like, oh, that works, Mrs. Berry. I'm like, yeah, no. Yeah, no. I didn't know that. I didn't know I couldn't label it. How about that?
Yeah.
I couldn't label it.
Well, and one thing about introversion and extroversion, it's really where you get your energy from. Mm-hmm. So there's shyness, which sometimes gets, there's shy people who are extroverts. Mm-hmm. They just don't want to talk. And so being able to identify that and how that plays out, because, introverts are deep thinkers. And so they process so much slower.
Yeah, we play that really out cool. Every week right here in front of you guys.
Yeah, exactly. You can tell by our tempo, unless I get really excited. And when I get really excited about something, people automatically assume I'm an extrovert.
Yeah.
And
but that's because in a group, you look like one.
Yeah.
Okay? But only those of us who know you or who are really sophisticated about introverts and extroverts know that as soon as that group's over, you're going to go lock yourself in a room somewhere. Yeah. Nobody talk to me. Nobody look at me.
Well, and a lot of that that's that whole energy piece, because I expend so much energy in a group, and that's one of the reasons I have so many groups, is because I get so excited being in the group, because I'm learning new stuff and there's new people, and I'm getting that kind of thing. But yeah, then I got to crash.
So I wondered why I had no energy in the last 2 weeks.
You haven't been anywhere.
I haven't networked any. Oh, I've got 3 this week. So, exact opposite. Mm-hmm. I'm an energy sucker, so if I'm in a group, it can be midnight when I get home. Oh man, book club's so funny. I get home, I get from networking, I'm ready to go. I'm not sleepy. I'm not tired. I'm energized. So doing that strategically is really important for me.
Yep.
Right.
That's a real important piece.
So that understanding the introvert and extrovert, that people aren't necessarily shy, they may be introverted. Just because they're shy doesn't mean they're introverted. That because you present like an extrovert, that doesn't really mean, all of that. I wish I had known that sooner.
Yeah, I wish I had understood some of that energy piece a lot sooner too. Mm-hmm. I think that would have been very helpful.
That would be helpful in family dynamics.
Absolutely.
I'm talking my family of origin.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next.
All right. Another thing nobody told me is that it's just as easy to believe that things are working in your favor as it is to believe that they're not.
I don't think we can ever talk about that one enough.
I know. And that was a huge shift, because
we just did a 35-minute podcast on that.
Yeah. Well,
right?
and we bring it up all the time. But yeah, I mean, just the idea, if that stuff is actually working in my favor somewhere, and if I start paying attention to how it's working in my favor, then I can see how it's working in my favor more.
Right, and if you open up your mind to the fact that things are working in your favor, you can actually see it. And this is a seeing is believing. Mm-hmm. You have to make that space in your brain where you go, things are going to work out. And the minute you say that, you've created that space so that you can see it working out.
Yeah.
Because until you say those words, whether you believe them or not, But whether you can, like, this is a fake it till you make it deal, right?
Yeah.
Once you say those words, you've just created that little piece of space that maybe means you see one thing.
You crack the door open.
You go, right?
Yeah, and even in like the most negative situations, like a couple weeks ago when my water heater decided to like go crazy, and it turned out to be a much bigger deal than I had intended it to be, because I believed that things are working in my favor. I didn't stay stuck there for very long. I was stuck there for a little bit and almost burst into tears because I was thinking of all the things I had to have other
things to pay.
That money was earmarked for. But I went for a drive. I got myself away from the situation. I went and did something else for a little bit, and I came back and go, okay, let's see how this plays out. Mm-hmm. So now I have a brand new water heater to add to the list of things when I sell my house.
And the pipes are fixed.
And the pipes got re-altered, and now it's good for...
So if somebody else has to replace a water heater, you can say, well, now this is up to current code, right?
Because it really wasn't.
Hot water heaters, those are big deals.
Yeah, I kind of like hot water. Luckily, this happened in the summer.
Well, I'm just talking about what happens if it breaks, if it like rusts out or something, There's...
Well, and, I wasn't doing laundry, and the dishwasher couldn't run, and...
Yeah.
Got to teach the kids that you can boil water on the sink and put it in the sink and actually wash dishes that way. So they got a life lesson too, in case anything ever happens. But
I love it when it works out that way.
It brings out your resilience.
Yeah.
And you search for something that builds on that resilience when you believe that things are going to be working in your favor.
Well, that's what makes you resilient. Mm-hmm. You can't be resilient if you're like, nothing ever works for me. That just, you can't be, there's no bounce back in there.
No.
But if you can just go there, and I'm telling you, it's so amazing. My mother would say fascinating. That's her word. It is so fascinating to see somebody trust that if they say it, it's going to change. And maybe it's just because, they trust me. I don't know. And it changes. And they're like, oh, the most amazing thing happened. I'm like, that is awesome. Tell me how that happened. And they're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, we just seen it 2 weeks ago? Okay. Because, you have to reinforce it. So when you're learning to do this, when you're teaching somebody else to do this, it's really important to circle back and go, so how did that happen? How did you notice that? Because you want to own that. And to say, oh, I did this. Mm-hmm. Because like you said, and like we say all the time, if you've done it once, you can do it again.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I've gotten out of this before. I've moved past things before. I've had the money just when I needed it, all of that stuff.
And I think that's a real key to, or core belief to believing that things are happening in your favor, because that's proof. Mm-hmm. That's the proof. You've gotten through it before. Mm-hmm. You've done this before. Money's come up before. You've been able to do whatever before.
The answers have appeared.
Yeah. So
because we believed they were going to appear, so we left the space for them. Okay. All right. Well, I think the last one, mine is the thing that changed my life. Take what you like and leave the rest. That came from Al-Anon. So that means I was 40 years old when I kind of heard that for the first time, because I was kind of always in the position or raised to think that, it is what it, whatever you see right in front of you is what it is. You take it all or you leave it all. Mm-hmm. Well, no, you don't. I have a brain. I have discretion. I have discrimination. I have some intelligence. So I can take the pieces that work for me. Yep. I can take the pieces. Just gigantic.
That is huge. Yeah.
I think that's part of what my first therapist was trying to do in the 5 years he tried to get me to go. And then I went to a new one, and she goes, well, I don't think I can help you unless you go to Al-Anon. And I went, and I was like, oh, there it is. There it is. And it was that.
Yeah,
it really was that. Detachment and take what you like and leave the rest. Because I'll be in events or things, and I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. Double no. Oh, but that. So what it means is that I go into events, even if I'm dreading them, I'm like, I go in with, so there's going to be something in here that surprises me. I wonder what that's going to be. Mm-hmm. Right?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're looking for...
I don't always do it, but I try.
Yeah, but that's a great way to approach any kind of meeting, especially when you're dreading, is, okay, what's the nugget?
Yeah. What am I going to get out of this?
Yeah. What's the cool thing? Where's that little diamond hiding out here?
Right.
And approach it like an adventure.
Well, I just thought of this. When I couple that with my meditation that's to keep my eyes, ears, heart, and mind open to what's out there today, when you put those two things together, then you can find what you want to. I can find what I want to take. Mm-hmm. It's not so hard because I've already opened my mind to there's something out there. So let's see what that is.
But it doesn't have to be the overload of everything out there.
Right. And I don't have to do it all. I mean, you've helped me with that a lot where you go, you really don't have to do all that. I do this course and then you're like, it's okay if you stop. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I used to not think it was okay to stop.
Yeah. Well, there's so much coming at us, and when you try something new, like when we became entrepreneurs, I mean, it's like, oh, well, this is the way you do this, and this is the way you market that, and this is the way and there's so many voices out there promoting their thing. And if you try to take them all in, because I had the same, that was a great lesson for me as well, is taking them all in, and then it's like, okay, now they're all in.
What do I do now?
Now there's like no room to shove any more in, and having to sift them back out.
Right.
It was like, okay.
Well, and a part of taking what you like and leaving the rest is saying, I know what I need. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
That I've already done this. Hello. It's not my first rodeo. Not even my second rodeo. So what does that mean? What does that mean for me? It means, if there are strategies and techniques that I like, I can take those, but I can trust that I kind of know what's going to work best for me. Mm-hmm. Like, remember when I was getting pushed to do an online business?
Yeah.
Videos, all this, not live. And I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And then all of a sudden I realized I don't want an online business. I'm not an online business kind of person. Yeah. I'm a face-to-face kind of person. And then things really, started shifting around.
Yeah, pretty rapidly, actually.
Yeah, yeah. So that take what you like and leave the rest was life-changing.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and that's the core of a lot of what I coach around, too, is being able to understand who you are and all that, and then sift through it. So
see what resonates with you.
And that's beautiful. And the key piece, too, that you just said is it helps you trust yourself.
Right.
And the more you trust yourself, the more you can move forward.
Right. Exactly. All right, you want to add anything else before we do the stamp of brilliance?
No, I think I'm good. Thanks.
Oh my gosh. So I got to tell you this. This always happens in our podcast. We'll look. We have a little stopwatch going so we don't talk to you for 2.5 hours because we know you wouldn't listen to it. But we'll look and it'll be like 16 minutes and we're like, we're never going to get to 30 minutes or 25 minutes on this. And we both just looked over here. We're at 27 minutes and we're just cracking up because it's like it goes from 16 to 27 in 30 seconds.
Yep.
So that's why we just broke up laughing. So we're going to do the stamp of brilliance and be right back.
Alrighty, today the stamp of brilliance is sometimes figuring stuff out on your own is the best deal. We got a lot of just the stuff that we figured out on our own.
That's right.
All right. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with a friend. Also take a minute to rate it and leave a review on iTunes.
Okay, hold on. Please, please, please take a minute and rate it and leave a review on iTunes. This is so critical. If you could do this, it raises our profile on iTunes so more people can find us. And it's just so very helpful. So if you listen regularly and you like it, please do that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Check out our website at uniquelybrilliant.me and sign up to have the podcast delivered directly to your inbox. Shoot any thoughts, comments, and suggestions to talk the number to us at uniquelybrilliant.me. You can also reach out to us on our Facebook page, and don't forget to like us. And you can now find us on YouTube.
Until next time.